17th, and I'd like to call the Board of Health meeting to order. Roll call. Oh, this meeting is being recorded audio and visually, and just we're starting something new. Just who's recording video? Just state your name.
John Jordan.
Okay, what?
John Jordan.
That's all, just for the record. So all set. So agenda item number 2, roll call.
Dave Williams.
Here.
Elizabeth Stevens. Here. David Adams.
Here.
Tony Pasquale.
Here.
Roland Larshall.
Here. Agenda item 3, you were all forwarded copies of the December 7th meeting. The minutes, if there are no questions, comments, changes.
I would, something that escaped us, like we voted, it was in the George Parrott room.
We said that? This is veterans room, right?
It does say veterans.
Yeah, this is the veterans room, right?
This is the veterans.
Better be, because you're gonna be putting some money in here. That better be.
So does the one you have say veterans room?
It says veterans.
Says that.
Yes.
We all set something on the motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. All those in favor? Tony, are you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay.
You scratch that out.
So unanimous of all there. Agenda item number 4, citizens forum. If anybody here has something they want to talk about that's not on the agenda, please let us know. Come on, Mark.
Some of the things I wanted to ask us here on tonight's agenda, so we're going to ask well testing, update on blended properties. I did want to ask, I've been attending these meetings for about 10 years, and I've never heard anything else talked about, it seems like, except the landfill. And I was wondering if you ever discussed things like inspecting restaurants, things like that. And I don't even know if that's appropriate. It's just something that I'm inquiring about. Is that something that you talk about at Board of Health meetings? Does Andy go around inspecting all the restaurants? Has he done that? How do the restaurants look? That's what I
It's a fair question and a good question, because we had this discussion a few years back. I think I'm the only one left that was part of that discussion. Is we agreed with you. We were spending a lot of time on landfill issues, and one of the concerns is there were other issues this town needs to worry about, not just the landfill. So we actually split it into, we were holding 2 meetings a month. We were having a landfill specific, issues related to the landfill meeting, and then we were having issues not related to the landfill. And we stopped doing that, and I'm not entirely sure.
A couple months ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was just a few months
Yeah,
ago,
so-
and everything kind of.
Yeah, when the landfill, is now closing, we're spending less time, I think, on, site assignment, because that was taking a lot of time.
Okay.
The site assignment and everything. has to do
So
with that.
inspecting the restaurants is an ongoing thing. You don't do it like that.
So
What's the one?
that goes through the health director, so Andy, you want to speak?
State mandate is that we inspect restaurants twice a year. I can't on the spur of the moment tell you what our effectiveness is right now. We are at least doing once a year on each one. Getting in regularly, Ms. Maritza is my primary food inspector, and Eric and I split the housing inspections. I can report on whatever activities that the board or the citizens want to hear on, given time to prepare it, but the responsibilities of the department are just so vast, I can't give a detail on everything.
One thing, if you don't mind me.
Yeah.
One thing is if there is something wrong, he brings it up to us, so if we need to make a decision on something like that, so if there's blighted property, if there's some kind of maintenance issue or something happening, health regulation violation, then Andy always brings it up
Okay,
and we discuss it.
all right.
I can report to the board on any aspect, briefly, in depth, that the board or the citizens wish to hear on, but I'd be a lot easier on my part if that were as specific as possible, so I can hone in on what the concern is.
Okay.
Again, the tattoos, swimming pools, restaurants, Title V's, housing inspection, that's all just the mandated stuff. Beyond that, there's the blight, again, beaver activity. It just, the list of regulations that are enforced by departments of public health, I would say the load is heavier on the police department, the list is heavier on the Board of Health. The Board of Health has the greatest list of codes to enforce, DEP, DLI, fishery and games, the DP, it's just, it's a tome. So if anybody has specifics, or if I could hone in on something that would interest people, I'll gladly report back on it.
Okay,
We will get, for the next meeting, we will have a report of what the current efficiency or compliance with the restaurant inspections is.
all right.
And generally speaking, Rich, you could speak better to this, but there is no restaurant in town, to our knowledge, that we would feel needs further disciplinary action than the enforcement we're doing. We've got some pretty good restaurants, especially after a year of Ms. Maritza going in and enforcing the codes.
Okay.
If you let us know, like beforehand, like if there's something specifically, you know, either email Andy or me or Maritza, and so we can get that information, so we're not, you know, trying to,
Right now.
we don't
it's
have it right now.
general-
If there's something you're,
General overview, how's it going? Because I never hear anything about it.
I am quite proud of our
That's usually a good thing.
efficiency, our compliance,
If we don't
so I
have
am
it.
more than happy to report on anything. We've got a very good compliance, especially within the last 2 years. My first 2 years, it was a whole lot of catch-up, but the last 2 years has been a lot of maintenance and just tweaking. And I'm very proud of my team and also of the town for, we really don't have to use a whole lot of muscle to get things done. It's pretty good.
okay.
And my second question is, not tonight, but sometime in the not too distant future, could we revisit the chloramine issue? I know it was about 10 years ago. I think.
Chloramine in the water,
Yeah.
so the chlorination of the water.
They added chloramine to the water. I think somebody might help me here. I think it's been about 10 years, hasn't it? Since they added
Yeah.
chloramine. I'm not a doctor and I'm not trying to pretend I know if there's any health issues or not, or if there's any leaching going on with lead in the piping. But unless we revisit it, we'll never know, so.
So,
I would like to know, someday, a follow-up. Are people experiencing any health problems with the chloramine? But that's the only way we're gonna find that out, is if we talk about it more.
okay, so
Right.
let's, I mean, the water department would be able to pipe in on what's going on with the chloramine, but you're looking for something a little, you're diving a little deeper in this. Are you concerned about more of the health effects
Oh,
of?
do we know? Is there health?
Right, and-
I don't know.
No, I know what you're saying, is that should we look deeper
If we
into,
look at it, then maybe we could find out
so
sometime in the future.
how would we go about, Andy, how would that be through, would we have any access to that information about health effects? The nurse, or, you know, the nurse that works with us only deals with more of the infectious diseases, not, so I'm not sure how we would get that.
Is that when did they start using that when they got rid of the chlorine? Is that when they,
What I remember is that there are certain sections that don't get a lot of flow.
Right.
And that unless they use this, the chances of getting,
E. coli.
yeah, they really need to knock that down. And it's always, you know, in health, I mean, we all realize in that health, it's that balance thing, because, you know, between risk and hazards, and so,
The best I can possibly do is research to see what possible health effects are caused by chloramines, or if there are any. and then maybe call DPH epidemiology and see if there's any, I'll get state, I might be able to get state statistics if they exist. The only way we would get other is if we reached out to the doctors and said, what do you got for these type of things that could have
Right,
been
I'm not even
affected
sure
by?
how we would
That would be
get
a huge investigation, I'm not sure how we would get that
Yeah.
information.
Well, you could always test the drinking water and some of the water.
Well, I could test it.
it.
I could test the drinking water and confirm there is a presence of chloramines, but if we're adding chloramines, I guarantee there's a presence of chloramines.
Yeah.
Is it?
The water department will tell you how much chlorines are in it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it,
this
but,
is, I think
water
that's more of a
department tour a while
discussion for the
back.
water department as opposed to us.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the only thing,
How chloramines
Is-
affect health is
yeah, that's it, if it was what's happening with chloramines, that's the water department discussion. What's happening with the health effects of chloramine? That's Board of Health, clearly, but we're saying, how do we get that? I mean, it's a valid point, but, how do we get that information?
But if it's not a communicable disease, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it's being tracked anywhere at the state statistics or anything.
Yeah,
I can reach out to the agency.
Sorry.
An EPA would have to be ruling that.
I know that the Board of Health is the committee that voted on allowing it. So,
right,
come back.
no, it's true,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Okay, anyone else? So, if no one else, we'll go to agenda item,
Were you gonna talk about the?
That's sustainability. I got my props, I'm all
I
ready.
like it.
way down, agenda item 11,
Yeah.
are you right
I just
there?
have to-
Okay, all right, so if nothing more on agenda 4, let's go to agenda 5. Well, oh, we do, we gotta jump back. Oh, God, I have to hear from you again. Come on.
this poor guy.
It's just, we're sorry, we keep
That's okay.
He gives us. So I would like to take a motion to open the public hearing for Lippy's Package Store, a continuation of December 7th. You're seconding. I guess I motioned it, so all those in favor? All right, all set. So the question is, Andy, you want to start with the concern?
Actually, I do. We open, and I've been thinking about this for a couple weeks now. We open this hearing to make a determination of action on a retail food license. We have somehow, and it originated from lack of compliance with inspections, with requests to commit corrections. It has since morphed into who holds a liquor license, who owns a property, the blight of the building, specifically the exterior, and I'm not sure that affects the retail food license. So I'm not sure where the board is right now, and I was actually totally on board with this when this motion was made to continue it, but if the violations are correct, and I will make a statement that the floor still is a cracked and damaged floor and not cleanable, and that there is still some ceiling tiles that are stained and should be replaced. Other than that, the compliance with the health code, the food code, and the protection of the public as far as the retail food license seems to be compliant. The blight would fall under my department as inspectional services, and we will continue to fight that battle. I know there is still some, he has fixed the roof line, but there's still peeling paint, and there is still the bare metal awning. We will continue that efforts in the spring to get those corrected, but I'm not sure if further action on the retail food license is warranted here. And I was absolutely on board with it when we made the motion. I'm like, yes, it's not complete, we don't know who the owner is, the new owner is yet, but I'm not sure that the current license is affected by the new owner or affected by the transfer of the liquor license.
Okay,
And I would leave it up to the board.
Okay, we'll give you an opportunity before we get any questions to respond.
The last time I was left, I left you guys on December 7th, and I thought it was over, so I have no idea what occurred after I left. The only reason I'm here tonight is because on Monday, Maritza and Mr. Pelletier showed up and told me that I'm still on. So I have no idea what occurred after I left on the 7th. When you told me if I show up here again, I'm gonna be on that side of the table with you guys. So that's why, I mean, the permit has been signed off on, the leak has been stopped. The hearing on the liquor board license on the local level was approved. It is in Boston, it still sits in Boston, waiting for it to come back. The phone calls that I have made into Boston have told me that everything is going forward, okay, as I got a phone call back today. And then upon completion from Boston, they sign the liquor license, I hold my closing within 7 days of that, and the new one takes over. So, and again, I have met the demands or requirements per that April inspection. So I don't know what more to do or to say other than I have been compliant, I have complied. You guys were in there, there is nothing. Regarding the floor tiles, in the initial inspection that you came and did with me, there were some cracked tiles, floor tiles. And you told me then that you would never write anybody up for that or shut them down for that, okay? Because you said it's such a small thing. I could pull those tiles up and remove new ones. And I left the stained tiles up on the ceiling, which I have new tiles to replace it. So when they do come in, you guys can see, as you can go in, I can take you to the 3rd floor of this building and show you stained tiles. They're just not freshly, they're just old stains, you want to replace them. So I don't know what more, or what you want me to do. I mean, you want me to change those tiles on the floor, do you want me to change the sand tiles, and then we dismiss everything, that's fine. I mean, I don't know.
No, we,
I mean,
okay, we kept this on the agenda until, you know, the purchase and sale was finalized, just to keep our hands on it, not so much as a punitive action, but just because we wanted to be on top of what was going on and follow up.
but wouldn't that have been satisfied with the repair work and the compliance and the signing off by the building inspector of the issue that I was brought in here originally for the water? That would be,
So-
to me, in my opinion, you guys should now be saying, see you later. If I'm here in the spring, obviously, Mr. Andy just said regarding a mill, awning, and peeling paint. But as far as the issue that I'm here for, it should be dismissed because it was fixed. Building permit properly according to code was inspected and signed off on.
I'll let other people chime in. Yeah.
How what you guys are looking at me for?
No, I'm just gonna start from that end.
I'll be honest with you, you already know my point.
Okay,
There's individuals in here that voted to have him come in here every meeting. I made my motion to close it. I got shut down. I agree with Andy, I agree with you. To me, there is no reason for you to come back in here anymore unless it's blighted or there's a maintenance issue. So,
okay,
I agree with him.
okay. So, does somebody want to, Roland? Anything? Tony? Okay. So, why don't you officially make that, turn that into a motion so we can turn that into.
Let's
Dismiss, maybe what are we making the motion?
We-
Dismiss it, or?
Yeah, if the choice is to dismiss, options are to motion to continue, to recognize that there still may be violations of the code that directly affect the retail license, or not recognizing that, to motion to dismiss.
I think we've had you here enough. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to dismiss.
Second, anybody? A motion and second, any discussion? Anything? Yeah? Okay, all those in favor of dismissing entirely? Okay. All set, unanimous to the board. It is dismissed.
Thank you.
And again, the Department of Inspection Services will, once the snows break and the weather gets right, we will continue to pursue the plan.
if that happens, that happens, but I mean, at this point in time. Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Take care.
All right. Okay, I would like to close the public hearing. So, make a motion.
I motion.
Okay, make a motion in a second, Roland and Beth. Okay, all those in favor of closing? All right. Unanimous. Okay. We're going down to agenda item 5, I believe, which is what? Well testing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just trying to help me. Thank you.
So,
Per a vote of this board, we offered the well testing on Clemens Hill and Pleasant Street one more time this year. The logic being that we did a point observation of something and that we really can't make a logical determination if there's a trend upward or downward with only one test. So we offered the test again for VOCs on Clemens Hill, Pleasant Street again. We had 8 people respond positively, and ultimately we ended up testing on 6 of the properties. The other 2 could not make themselves available on the day of testing, or otherwise withdrew. There were, of the 6 tests that were done, there was 0 detections of any VOCs. There were some incidences of the basic water quality, coliform type of stuff, but none of the VOCs that were detected in Charlton showed up in any of the wells that were tested this year. So I would propose to the board that having trace amounts show up last year, and it's actually gone down since that time, that because the law says the property owner is responsible for the quality of their water, of their potable water, that we leave it on the homeowners to continue testing. And if an incident of concern arises that we can attribute to more than one, it's public health, not private health, then the board might want to revisit it, but I would propose that we recognize the low test results in both cases and put it to.
okay, so this is just an update anyway, we're not voting on anything, so.
No, if we wanted to do this again, somebody would motion at the next round to do it again.
Dave?
Andy, if there's a resident that needed to understand this, could they come to your office, or who would they, or the guy tried to call, they're like, yeah, we don't do that.
Nice. I can probably muddle through it with them.
Yeah, I was trying to help them the other day, but
Yeah, send them down and I'll sit with them for a half hour and we'll go through it line by line.
it hit too many times.
It really comes down to, there's about 10 different, 10's an exaggeration, but there's multiple different standards, and some contaminants are not even considered in the drinking water standard, so therefore they go under a different standard. And these reports are all about maximum, minimum contaminant levels and minimum exposure limits, and there's a whole lot of confusion in them. I can sit down and muddle through it with them.
Thank you.
We'll have a whole bunch of laughs, and in the end, I hope we're right.
All set, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, so agenda item 6. Tracy?
Oh,
No?
we talking about blighted?
5D.
If,
Oh, you know what? I think I have one.
You got the old one, this is the updated.
I made a copy of the old one. Blighted.
okay.
Blighted.
One of the board members requested I put this on as a regular agenda item, since one of the citizens is very avidly curious about what's going on with it. I will, if there is a update to be had, I will put it on the agenda. If not, I will put it down in pending at the bottom of the agenda.
So the ongoing
Today.
stuff?
Yeah.
Ongoing.
Today I can report 80 Hamilton. I had it in court Monday, and the owners didn't show up again. They are totally apathetic owners. They have never contacted me about the property, even though I have confidence that they have received everything, either by green card coming back or by notice from a constable that it was served in hand. The court pretty much expressed a concern that they are a Massachusetts court. It's a Massachusetts Superior Court, it's a housing court. And they're not sure if they can reach across state lines for this purpose, but they have scheduled a capias on this. A capias is, it's a capias hearing to determine if a capias should be issued. A capias is the right to arrest and drag to court. The issue is the owners are in Florida, so I don't think we will ever, even if we get the capias, I don't think we're gonna exercise it. I would not know how to get a person arrested in Florida to Massachusetts to stand trial. So at that point in time, I would probably default to chapter 143 of the Mass General Laws. That is the general laws that allow building inspectors to assess houses that are open to the weather, open to illegal access, all of that. The whole back corner of this roof has been crushed in by a falling pipe, so it's open to the weather. And we will go through the 143 process, which is probably a 1 to 2 month process. And then ultimately, the town of Southbridge will take this building down.
So the capias, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
the capias, I know there's chasers that actually pick these guys up cross country, they do that, but, and I believe the capias, if they are arrested and somehow a miracle happened, they brought them back over here in handcuffs and threw them in jail until you showed up to court,
Yep.
and the judge, I believe they're responsible for the cost of being arrested.
That's easy to say.
I'm just saying,
Until they
I'm
don't
just saying there's no
pay it.
cost to the town. There's no cost to the town.
Different to get.
Maybe at the front part, but at the end part, he or she or they may be, will probably most likely, the judge will make them pay and give them 30 days to do it.
When we take a,
I'm just saying.
when we take a building down, there's no cost to the town. If the town takes a building down, there's zero cost to the town. We paid for the demolition, the $40,000 to $50,000 demolition, and we put a lien on the property, so we get the money back. Except that we never realize the money back because the property goes up to auction and it goes for $2 grand.
Right.
So,
Let me know when that happens again.
so legally, it happened, what did that vacant property go for? It went for less than 10 grand. The piece of vacant property in Southbridge, it happened 3 weeks ago.
I was gonna say just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But anyhow, I digress. But, so, in theory, the law is written so the town doesn't bear a burden. Recouping that burden is, it just doesn't happen. So, the cost of running a constable down there, grabbing this guy, bringing him back, would add thousands of dollars to the cost of demolition, which we will probably end up doing anyhow. And I'm not sure it's a benefit to the town of Southbridge citizens to put that additional on their tax dollar, if ultimately their tax dollar is gonna pay for the demolition anyhow.
I promise you, once we do that once or twice, that other people will show up.
I also don't have the upfront budget to do it.
So if we do that once or twice and it
There's
becomes.
a lot of considerations. There are a couple of properties of in-state people that I will go that. They're right here. Unfortunately, being out of state is a serious hardship on enforcement. And that's what we're facing, a lot of absentee landlords.
So how long have you been dealing with this particular property?
Avidly, I think I first had it in court. I first issued the order probably about June-ish on the order that brought them into court. I've issued orders to board and secure this property, and he failed to comply, so I boarded and secured it. I've issued orders to clean this property, failed to comply, I cleaned the property. And this is going back 3 to 4 years. I believe Mr. Moran even once, my predecessor, paid to put a dumpster there and clean the property. So this has been going on for 5 to 6 years. I have avidly been going after it since June.
I'm just wondering if, at the moment, if there's not other things that maybe we should be addressing besides just this one property. Like, we have other blighted properties that are more visible.
And I have several more to talk of.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, it's good.
Is there a way to go, I hate to be nasty, but enough's enough. Go on a different avenue, because I agree, to go down there and handcuff them and bring them back. But can we do like Webster did and advertise?
It's,
We've been asking, well, we talked about that.
Did you do that?
Yeah,
We've been discussing
I
that.
wanna do that.
We've been
I will sit
discussing
down
that.
with Dave and see
and I'll
how we
build
can
that
put it on the website. As far as putting a 4x8 sign in the front yard,
Well, we don't
am I
know,
not adding to the blight?
but we don't own the property, do we?
Couldn't get any worse on some of these
Weekend.
places.
So you're probably stealing.
The Board of
I
Health,
mean, a sign,
Like the other one.
you know, a sign on the property to me is only for the locals, and like you say, the people across the street next door have to look at this thing. There's
Yeah.
people that go, if we get it on some kind of website, public meter, everything like this, how do we know they're not down in Florida driving a brand new Lincoln and making
They
a
are.
fortune?
if you
So-
look up this particular house in Florida, it's a mansion.
So-
He
But
lives
before they
in-
go in, I mean,
Somebody's a slumlord.
yes. But maybe there's another cheaper way to,
So even to the
slap
point
their
of throwing,
reputation.
even throw it on the website, you know, I'm all for it. And especially if their business number is their cell number. Putting that on there so they get the phone calls from the citizens. But besides that, putting a sign out front, can't get any worse. Put a nice, beautiful sign in, maybe we can get a whole thing, you know, 20 by 20, and it'll cover the whole thing, blighted by, first name, last name, daughter's name, son's name, I mean, I don't care. But I mean, something's gotta be done.
I agree, because the citizens, like you say, yeah, we tear down the buildings, it's a hole, you sell the property for $2,000, doesn't even get you the price of the dumpster to haul it away, and it's on the taxpayers that grew up on this, in this town, and respect their properties, and you have these people that dumped it and went to Florida? Really?
Do we have their email?
Let us go
addresses?
on vacation.
So,
We'll pick them up and bring them back
Because
ourselves.
we could send them links to YouTube with their names on it, called out by the Board of Health saying, they, Daryl Adams, owns his property, and here's his, and just send him the link, so he knows his name's being called out.
I agree.
I know it's getting
Yeah.
extreme a little bit.
I agree.
Embarrassing.
Most of them still
Well,
have
that's the
friends
other
and
thing, it's
relatives in the
done.
area. If we start putting it in the paper, their name and their picture and all that in the paper about that's embarrassing. As long as they can stay behind the scene and there's no cost to them at all. I agree, the cost of this, but blighted properties is a problem in town, and we need to do something about it, and say, look, fix your property, you know, or shame them into
No,
this.
so
It's a business.
Yes.
I wanna, I'm sorry, renting a property, whatever.
Okay, Dave's gonna
is
talk,
a
Daryl's
business.
gonna talk anyway, so we're
I
not
know.
letting him go. Go.
No, she's got it.
No, I just, so they do this in Webster.
They did this, I don't know how far they went, what was it, last year, the year before?
Scarlet letter campaign.
Okay,
They
so
put the
would
signs
it
up
be,
to
wouldn't it
advertise.
be worth looking into, maybe talking to someone in Webster to find out
What
what
worked.
they did and what they were able to do as far as certain privacy things and that nature.
No reason to reinvent.
And how far we can
Right.
push it
And
with
how-
maybe the
exactly.
lawyers,
Like-
so before we
Exactly.
get slapped.
Yeah, that's a very,
All right, let me talk to
I
Mr.
think
Cabrera,
that's-
find out what our legal limits are, find out if we can.
Even with pictures of the property and maybe mom and pop sitting next to it, with their faces on it. Blight of the
Hey,
month.
we all know people in Florida. Hey, by the way, look at this blog, hey, by the way, look at this thing. I mean, you know what, they dumped us, they moved out, they're laughing
We
at
can
us,
put
let's
it-
laugh at.
we can put it in the paper, in their local paper.
But public media, when people sit anywhere and they look at
It's
the
true.
website, and they look at Facebook, and they look at everything like this, we
Yeah.
can,
So I think the entire board is pretty
Fed
much,
up.
we need, that the answer is not to allow these people to hide in the darkness.
Okay, let me take it out of order. I was gonna do 66 Central Street next, but 215 Hamilton Street.
To Hamilton again.
I have been in court. I just went to court with the Attorney General's office. This is the gorgeous, ugly blue building across the street from the coffee on Hamilton Street. Gorgeous architecture.
oh,
The building has been beaten down. I solicited the Attorney General's office. They have the Vacant Housing Initiative Program. We just went to court to petition that they intercede on behalf of the town of Southbridge, and they are going to take this one. This isn't a test case for us. They're going to take this one through what's called a receivership program. Receivership, essentially, the owner of a piece of property is still responsible for the piece of property, but they name a contractor to assume agent status, if I will. So the agent can collect rents, can take mortgages, can, whatever it takes to bring the property back to compliant sanitary conditions. And we can't do this with commercial buildings because the receivership program is specific to the housing code. So Attorney General is going to intercede and try to get a receiver on this one, and I don't want to put more out there yet until I see how it comes out, because I don't want duct tape repairs to make it barely habitable. I want nice buildings back in Southbridge, but we are going to run this one through the receivership program. Into the future, I'm chasing 80 Hamilton for a takedown, because that's how I started. But 80 Hamilton, again, gorgeous architecture, it's typical of Southbridge, it's Southbridge's character. This would have been a good one to put for a receivership program if the programs are in fact appropriate. So we're gonna do the experiment on 215 Hamilton, see how long it takes us to get through the process, and rather than go through the shame process, we're just gonna take the building away. At the end of the receivership process, whatever it costs the receiver to put the building back in shape, he puts a demand, a bill on the owner, and if the owner doesn't pay, the receiver has the right to foreclose. Say I'm the receiver for 215 Hamilton, and I have $100,000 into the building. I foreclose on the building, I put the building up for auction, and this includes all my legal fees, every penny I put into this building. I put it up to auction, the opening bid is $100,000, because that's what I have in it. If somebody else bids more, I can match that bid, or I can just sell it and break even with my investment. But most of the time, it ends up with the receiver keeping the properties and becoming a responsible landlord at the time that they do it.
Were those sounds like the same people I talked to in Worcester that they did this for a living.
Worcester does a lot.
I was gonna say,
They
I
give
read
me
something in
those are
the
the cards I
paper.
gave you. Those 2 cards I gave you?
Yep.
Yep.
They are receiving, and I get a lot of solicitation from receivership type companies. The only thing is, I don't get a choice of who my receiver is. I petition the court, and the court assigns a receiver to the case.
It doesn't cost, yeah.
So, no cost to us, and most of I attend the court dates because I want to do it on occupied structures too. If I have occupied structures that are blighted, the Attorney General won't take it over for us because it's occupied. They're the vacant housing initiative, but it can be done on occupied structures. So if it works and I can learn the process, I will take them through the court system into the future. I originally proposed 2 of these